39 poets, 39 poems, outdoor voices in an indoor world, Volume 12.
Sometimes I use my pen as a loaded weapon to force my mind to slow down time. I'm always spiraling out of control, fighting mental breakdowns, backing away from panic attacks, quieting the overthinking. Sometimes this pen is a ton of bricks. It's hard to get it moving. My hand bleeds from the pain I'm trying to entrap into a poem to free my thoughts. On most days, I feel like I can survive without writing sadness out of my mind. But I find it very hard to relate to happiness, and when I do, I find it very hard to write about it. I'll never stop trying though, because I have about 180 unfinished poems about things my mind is not quite ready to release. When I stare into the mirror, I remind myself to be patient with me. I remind myself that I love you. I remind myself that the curvature of your smile is an amazing sight that many enjoy. I remind myself to stop and do that more. I remind myself my past is not my present, that this pen is my best friend. Despite it being a loaded weapon, it's the safest one I know. So many times in the past I contemplated the other side, that one that breeds darkness due to sickness, but I would never let it take me over fully. I would never give it that satisfaction of destroying everything I pulled myself free of. Despite those days I felt so low, I never want to go back to the time that I felt so alone. I want to be forever surrounded by love and harmony. I want my heart to be at peace. I want to sing my favorite song so loud and not be afraid of the judgment placed upon me. Or maybe that's just my overthinking. Because I have a feeling that the people who really know me want to see me just being free. They know me this way in private, but the shy side of me is so ingrained, it's hard at times to escape. It's frustrating mentally, but I keep reminding myself of this gift that gives this weapon, my pen, ammunition. I want to keep firing off these shots of glory because my story is not yet finished. I'm a victory to a story titled My Life. And when you see me glow, just know I spent time trying to find my light, trying to find my flow. Effervescence, abundance, amazing. Outside the shadows of depression, because that space can be heavy. It'll have you drowning in a pool of negativity, trying to pull everything away. But a portion of your body never fully gets away as much as you want it to. But I keep fighting because there are so many glimmers of hope, pockets of greatness, dispensers of love given and reciprocated. So those keep me going. They say the toughest fights are those that no one knows anything about. Trust me, I know. This pen does too. My loaded weapon with so much in the chamber.
Hi everyone, I'm Leonard Lundh, coming to you as always from the southwest coast of Lake Michigan. My offering to you this time around is called She Speaks for Herself, an ekphrastic poem after the painting Princess Tuvstar Gazing Down into the Dark Waters of the Forest Tarn by John Bauer from the very early years of the 20th century. She speaks for herself. It's a story often told, and always told wrong, about how I went into the woods and met a tragic fate at the hands of some who saw my crown as riches, others who envied my clothes and left me naked, alone, vulnerable to self-reflection, its partner self-pity, and their coupled bending madness. Have you ever met a princess? A real one, left to her own devices and free to wander unconstrained? Have you ever met a princess, one with self-respect and sanity, who wouldn't want to run away? There were no woods. I gave away my crown, its jewels, cast off silks and petticoats to wear a simple frock, dirty, worn. There was no clearing with a pond. I gazed into myself, be sure of that, but in doing so found peace, myself. Self-pity and a form of madness belong to those who want only the story.
Black men, they've aged in a place they call the fountain of youth, wasted away years incarcerated, dreaming of what they become, punished for who the crooked system said they became. The judicial system said their form of unity is the shackles used in connecting inmates together. Stories in conjunction, current addict, ex-dealer, project warrior, their backgrounds forced them to be warriors, fights, fist to fist against their own dads. Now solo up against the gangs the little neighborhoods had a survivor. Now amongst bricks and steel, correctional officers, they don't help with the corrections. No peace offering or protection for those of my complexion. They just divide us up by color and crime. It's a setup, just like some of the communities, and only the strong will survive. Then you're given a number, you go into a database and you can always fit the description. Allow men to get brutalized and scarred mentally just for chasing a little illegal, underhanded financial blessing. Locked up senselessly, hope they can just reconnect once read again and blend in environmentally, though crime has been committed. The system forgot that they were men, forgot that long ago Bill Clinton brought the dope right to the doorsteps, forgot long ago that Bill Clinton shut down jobs, 80% of black men held, pushed them to the pavement, alive with the dope, murder over territory, filled up the city streets, that trapped the kings and King Kennedy. From Buckeye to Union, some built unions and organizations that communicated with walkie-talkies, visible guns, and homemade gang signs. They turned our landmarks into landmines. Placed cocaine in a place of emptiness. Placed heroin right in the small openings of our own neighbors' depression. Created public housing, squeezed us in like sardines and expected no retaliation, filled with aggression. May God bless them. They brought guns to our neighborhoods. They initiate the pain and the grief that fills these homes in our hoods. Yes, we are responsible for all of our own sins. But some of my friends, they ain't made minimum wage in years. You tell me, how does that help a man feed his kids without lack of sleep and confusing fears? Let it be down to the last and their family can't eat. He knows there's severe punishment for the drug money that's located in the alleyways and the streets. You know, with an innocent in the iPhone video making for war star, crime scene tape, prayers and visuals, they all meet. My black brothers pray at night too. The answers of silence causes the mind to go violent. A man needs help or he will go back to the drugs and the violence. What does he do if he's educated and he still ain't ate for days? Of course he gonna go back to the gutter. Of course he gonna go get it how he live. Of course he won't shed no tears when the judge hands down years for the crimes that he's did, but inside he's just broken. With a motto in his mind and his heart. But guess what? Crime pays when there ain't no job openings.
Flow. Cement unwinds into countryside. Chatter about bad days and impossible dreams twitters between the trees, between satellites, between granola and grits, leche and lupia, between homecomings and homegoings, one and all. Dusk consumes the sun. Dawn swallows the moon. Triumph and tragedy pinned along the horizon snap and fan in concert above the breeze, above shades of pumpkin and construction cone, concrete, ash, espresso shots, and hay. Monarchs dance before skylines of seedlings and steel. to the pulse of combines and shiny shoes, across landscapes rich with gorgeous and wild life, one and all.
Sojourner years ago asked a question. Firm in her conviction, she took her stand. She asked all the humans in the room, she said, "Ain't I a woman?" She spoke of how she toiled and labored for offspring and the land. She spoke of how when she fell to the ground, no one bothered to lend a hand. She so many years ago knew what we failed to understand, and that is why now I too must ask a question. Ain't I, like you, a man? From a mother's womb didn't I spring forth? Wasn't I nurtured from her breast? Didn't we both drink from the milk of life? Aren't we both destined to ashes and death? On battlefield for brothers, my black blood did shed. Like yours, white once touched the ground. There, we both bled red. My eyes hold the angst of generations. My heart is burdens and sorrows. My faith rooted in God's great hope that justice will come tomorrow. But your eyes ignore the whips of slavery, the Jim Crow and the Klan. Your mind wants to dehumanize and say he's an animal, not a man. Looking down on my poverty with 2 gold coins in your hand, you'd rather ignore me in a prison than recognize me as a man. You won't look into my eyes lest you see a soul like yours. You won't examine the conscience of your heart, preferring its denial to endure. Yet my limbs have toiled and labored like yours for offspring and the land. And that is why now I too must ask the question, ain't I, like you, a man? When I stand by America's side, ain't I a man? Though she denies me of my pride, ain't I still a man? When I protect your family and your home, ain't I a man? Though you deny me one of my own, ain't I still a man? When I work beside you every day, ain't I a man? Though I never get equal pay, ain't I still a man? Before you deny me entry and before the bullet leaves the gun in your hand, before you clutch your purse a little tighter, ask yourself, ain't he just a man? From ashes to ashes and dust to dust, there we both began. One day there too we both shall return. So I ask, ain't I like you, human?
My dog doesn't like jazz. He paints his disapproval with exasperated sighs of oil black and egg white. I love these quiet nights, spent with brass ballads. In my mind, my feet are swinging through the cosmos as time goes by. I am a hopeless romantic, hopelessly falling back into my own arms. I always catch me. I light the right candles and choose the right songs. I prefer my company in the shadow of a dream where my dualistic dog takes off running toward the pines whenever he hears the sound of trumpets. Someday I will shuffle around a hardwood floor that I sanded myself and remember all of the times I denied myself a dance because a man wouldn't join me. Someday I'm gonna smoke every cigarette I once craved and light my own house on fire with the feelings I smothered for someone else's comfort. Imagine Billy's voice leaking through wooded windows and the silhouette of my naked elderly body, finally as unfettered and unusual as my naked spirit.
We try to live strategic. Every move we make is carefully and silently evaluated. Somehow, every step forms Richter-rated bass tones. My mama calls it being too big to fit in a box made for simplicity. Our lights shine bright. No matter how hard we try to dim it, it shines bright. People try to shade it, but they fail. They gravitate towards us and try to use us for their own gain and fail. You see, we're dope as fuck. And some of us don't even realize it. We endure hard knocks and we move like conquerors. We love continuously, even though we're guarded. Who gives us the audacity not to show people who we are? You know what I say to that? I say, let that bass rumble like the trunks of old school rides. that melodic chaos only few can appreciate. Strategic chaos.
Funny how the same kitchen that could warm my soul with a bowl of tomato soup and a grilled cheese sandwich transforms into a torture chamber. One metal leg chair positioned in the center of the room, the smell of burnt hair and blue grease, an old school hot comb burning over that blue flame of the gas stove. And that broken handle piece of hairbrush, she knows about these battles that take place daily, but she ain't telling. By payday, she'll never be seen again, and a new flat-backed wooden victim will unknowingly take her place. Sometimes a brush, sometimes a paddle in this multi-purpose room of horrors. I'm beckoned to the hot seat. I consider whining in protest and going faint. But one stern look from my tormentor threatens my entire existence. I accept my fate. She wields the hot comb, and I don't want her operating while angry. I don't like her when she's angry. The battle begins. My scalp starts to moisten from the pressure of fighting to stay still as the sizzling comb passes perilously close to my ear, threatening to burn me if I flinch or fight, while my tormentor wrestles to tame my tangled new growth, strong and stubborn as the black fist I picked it out with. Her face is distorted, my body's contorted, this struggle most dreaded, tender-headed. My tormentor's fist veins thick as ropes in this battle to gentrify my hair. Pull my brains out through my hair follicles, harness them into pigtails using 2 concrete balls and a bungee cord. A torture device, also known as a barrette. The bungee cord stretches to full capacity, but instead of harnessing the bundle, it snaps back and cracks my skull in protest, leaving colossal damage. Don't I dare not scream. It's school picture day. My tormentor has high hopes that this year her artistry will be represented favorably. But little does she know, these good looks have a shelf life that ends right before the camera flashes. Now say cheese.
Pilgrim Station, the Jordan by moonlight. We were playing cards on the lively banks while our riverboats tugged at the moorings, like tethered horses anxious to be off and ride the spate of the earlier storm. Frothy waves reflected high scudding cloud, and the river's surge was drowning out talk from John the Baptist's house of sadness. It carried palms around the promised land to a salty finish on the Dead Sea shore. Man, you should have seen those holy rollers. Everything was drawn along in the storm, or more accurately, its aftermath. It was the best time that we've had in years.
I imagine you naked, often, but not the type tied to tangibility. Black man, I don't want your badness to be bound and seen as only the stripping of clothing with meaning minuscule, only measured by material. I imagine a place where your memories roam free, where your happiness can soar, where your softness doesn't have to play hide and go seek, where me, you, and closeness can meet, because I imagine us naked, often. I want to sit with you in silence. I want to allow our energies to radiate freely, and I want to erase awkwardness from existence and cease shame from insecurities as we simultaneously set our souls free. Inhale the intensity of this intimacy and exhale our inner eagerness to feel, to be seen, to be understood even when engulfed in silence. I want my eyes to slow dance with yours. As we sit in the serenity of stillness, in sync and not missing a beat, and then every hair on your body comes to dance with me. Your butterflies' favorite line dance. Your muscles' favorite relaxer. Your heart's favorite tempo. Your mind's favorite window. Your lips learn to let go and embrace the feelings you house. With me, I want you to be comfortably candid. Speak fluently in your ingenuity and free your phrases absent of fear. Because even a protector wants to feel safe. And you are, as long as you're here, your caring confidant. Encouraging you to excuse all things nonchalant as I amplify your ethereal ambiance. And as much as I want to do for you, I don't want to be your everything. And I don't want you to be mine. Because that space is reserved for the most divine. But I do want to be close to you without closing mine. And open all your doors without closing mine. Because I don't just want to imagine. I want to see us naked, often.
Saturday night in the pandemic. I fell asleep on the couch again. These days, my brain is even less predictable. Worse than the 8th grader seething in her bedroom, a coronavirus caught in an unwanted bubble. I had a dream. I was in a beauty pageant, me and Beyonce. We were sitting in the dressing room, each at a mirror, crying. I, because I was the loser, she, because she was the winner. But then we smelled smoke, saw the orange haze through the cracked door. There was fire burning up the backstage. And we both knew we couldn't get out. We were going to die here in wigs and sequin dresses, trapped in the oh no of believing in bodies as trophies. I was sad and accidentally sighed, a face full of cyanide. I felt it stab my lung, then realized I was dreaming, then woke up. I was angry. I could still feel something sticking, my goddamn underwire. I went to the bedroom to get my one needle, my only thread, and I was guilty, like always, that I am not my mother. I am only good for dreams and poems. But my husband caught me in the hallway. Look at this, baby. It was a picture and a text, his homeboy still alive, and my husband smiling with his eyes and not just his teeth. And I knew that wherever he hid the gash, it was bleeding now. So I held him, because that's what love is, right? Volunteering, getting their blood on you. But even if I'm wrong, and my tears can't wash anything off him, at least he isn't crying alone. At least he is crying. At least we are still each other's thread and needle. At least there is no fire here burning toward us, unless there is.
world of my thoughts, find my way on my own, a lost cause. I've been walking alone on this road, on a journey to find my way home. I'm alone in this world of my thoughts, find my way on my own, a lost cause. I've been walking alone on this road, on a journey to find my way home. I wonder what religion is. I wonder what division is. I wonder what's been keeping us for so long. How long must we keep holding on to hope alone if faith alone is useless? I wonder what we gonna do then. They say steady long, steady wrong, so I'm trying not to take too long to write this poem and still have high octane form. Here, hit this shit. I don't know if they gonna get this shit. You know what they say about niggas, they can't think for shit. Excuse my French. It's a shame I gotta cuss just to get your attention. But now that I got it, I'm supposed to give you something. Look up the definition of humble. See how they've been playing mind games with you? A low estimate of one's own importance. It sounds like they want you to doubt your own self-importance. That's why it's important that we look. They put it in a book, they crook seeking ye shall find. You should have read their book. See, you gotta change your perception when you look. See how you look. It's more than a kawiki think. They controlling what the people think. You gotta stop and ask yourself the better question, like why the hell I think what I think. We've been on the surface level, now it's time to go deep. Odell Beckham, to catch him, you gotta reach. I only debate with my equals. Everybody else I must teach. Test and try in the fire, I got heat, try me. Bring your notes and your research. I've been walking so long on my own, nigga, my feet hurt. I'm trying to pave the way. Can't be another statistic. I'm too talented, I'm too gifted. But it's not about who's hotter, it's about who gets it. Two ears, one mouth. Now listen, you being you isn't your weakness, and it's a shame if you think it is. But if you do and you can fit the shoe, well then I'm glad that you listen.
Hi, I'm Kat Russell, and I'm going to read my poem, Fight Club Redux, aka It's Your Own Damn Fault If It's Spoiled, the movie's been out for ages. In the darkness, the grass glitters with crystallized condensation when I walk outside to let my dog make her mark, as though the stars vaguely luminescent in their spheres had fallen to earth, frozen, their heat lost to pre-dawn chill. Later, I watch Fight Club for the nth time, catch myself thinking how very, very nice it would be to have a friend like Tyler to hang around with on shitty nights in a shitty house, or sharing drinks in a shitty bar, but without the assault. Got punched by metaphor alone. Imagine a friend, even imaginary, that's always there through thinning nights and thinning hair, trading jokes and insults and guttural laughter, no matter how many times they've heard each clever wordplay, each dumb pun. Someone who listens, does not simply wait for your part of each conversation to end. Someone like Bob to hug you with his big ass bitch tits, or Tyler with his right hook to greet you. 3D virtual realities got nothing on the brain. We can make ourselves believe. We make ourselves believe anything. Even that the stars glistening in the darkened blades of grass are beautiful, despite my canine's warmly flowing contribution, melting them before their time, readying them for a sun they will never see, just beyond that horizon.
Basking in the true power of God as He guides our steps.
Each passing day proving true is a manifestation as to how well God knows better than us what it is that we need. Perfection has never been attained by either one of us. But as time passes, our imperfections and the reality of our mere humanity is brought forth for both of our eyes to see. But see, there's nothing stronger than true love in all of its divine purity. I will not walk this road with rose-colored glasses. No blinders have been provided on this ride because I need to see it and feel it all every step of the way. And be present in every emotion that my heart can feel when I'm with you, because loving you and being with you has proven to be the only way. You came into my life in a way that I could have never have predicted. And while you accept me for who I am, you will never accept me for being any less than the best that I can be. And when I'm feeling low, you remind me of my greatness. There is nothing like the feeling of being with someone who sees the absolute best in me. I never knew that loving someone could ever be this easy. We crossed each other's paths so many times before, only to be brought together when God himself knew that we were ready. Ready to give each other exactly what it is that he knew we would need. I'm so happy to finally be paired with someone who was a giver in a world filled with so much greed, showing me a part of true love that in my past I never knew existed. Slowly but surely, intentionally and divinely, I put one foot in front of the other, walking into the world of you and me. The joining together of not just us, but our entire families. Creating a whole new unit of strength. I can't wait for the next steps on this journey. You show me things in this life that I have never seen before with my two eyes. You've taken the time to redefine. You treated me like your work of art, and you drew outside of all of my self-created lines, and you made love exist again, even in the damaged and abused parts of my mind. Reminding me that love is more than just a word. They are actions. Actions that take my breath away each and every time. I'm so happy to be with you. How sweet it is to simply be loved by you. So many people search their entire lives for a love that is even half as true. Sometimes tears come to my eyes when I think of you. You touch my heart. You've kissed my spirit. You've danced me through the sunshine, the snow, the hail, and the rainfall too. All the people in the whole entire world. And God sent me to you forever. Eternity and infinity sound like my own personal piece of heaven when I get to spend it with you. See, you was always meant for me, and I was always meant for you. The joining together of our two lives sets my entire soul free, so thank you for giving me a place with you. I may not be perfect, but I will always be true. No thinking or wondering if it is right. I am of those who know you have my heart, mind, body, and soul. So please, don't let go.
What does the umpire use to seize the fastball from the pitcher? That's this piece. Desperately seeking a way in or disparagingly looking for a win. In all the struggles in the time past, she just wanted to figure out the maze cast to be found by a real one. No matter the trauma, the lies, the endless efforts of defeat, wanting just that bad to see, enduring the mad and the sad resulting from the strategic attacks of an arson narcissist who had assisted those thoughts of genocide to all the feminists in a race for a space that was empty in him for all eternity. He is unhealed, unwilled, and unwanted. No one wanted him, and he knew it, but he wanted many to believe that it was them. That was crazy. That's where the hidden deceit was present, but to her it was very clear. She saw it and she never fought it, thinking maybe this lion cub that is, who verbally was always pursuing this lioness, which ensued the gazelle prance to a dance in a game that hunts game. Why though playing? Who's really slicker than grease? As she unleashed the untamed brain beast within a beater that beats pain, reigniting some left activity for this thing called love. Never glanced above a lie. She only lied in it to win it in the proceeds. A tall tale of a failed truth, seduced and reduced the grown impersonated alpha male to a corner crying baby who didn't know at all, like a drop of water to a well, what was needed. Love. He couldn't receive it. He didn't believe in it himself. Love is not exasperating. It's resuscitating to those who died in it, trying to revive one who got lost in it. Where are you now? Frozen. I guess that's how it goes in. Another rewind. And I recited all that to say this. You wish and you missed. And some think that this poem is about them.
See, I'm looking for that unlove, the unconditional loving of each other no matter what comes our way kind of love, that unquenchable love, where the fire is so deep that it burns all others out kind of love, that undeniable love, where people see us and shout, now that's love kind of love, that unrelenting love that's shown day in and day out, even through a simple hug kind of love. See, I'm looking for that over love, that overstanding love where we don't seek to understand because we already know each other so well. We feel it before the other says a word kind of love, that overextending love where there's no limit to the sacrifices we're willing to make kind of love, that over-appreciating love when we show the little things matter just as much kind of love. See, I'm looking for that bond that comes between a woman and a man, the type that shows over the years, and when they aren't around it makes you want to cry a tear. Okay, now love, listen here. I am ready for you and all that you can bring. Like India Ari says, I too will be patient, kind, faithful, and true to a man who loves music, a man who loves art, can respect the spirit world and can think with his heart. See, I am ready for life's heartache and pain, for I know he'd be by my side and we'd have the whole world to gain. I am ready for the challenge to be looking for love. In the end, I know all the time that it takes. For the one destined to love me, God will pull out all the brakes. Then we'll have the unbreakable love, that tight-wrapped, three-chord strong kind of love, that build me up as I build you up kind of love, that go from black tie to rockin' footies, playing video games kind of love, that exchange of power, strong for the world, weak for each other only kind of love. Got me all up in my feelings talking about this kind of love. So no more settling for parts of this kind of love. This time, for this kind of love, I'm willing to wait. For like the sands of the beach are the times I've dreamt of you, love. With the fire burning so hot it turns my thoughts into glass, blown into shapes where moments add in color. Send to me, love, the one that makes there be no other, the one to share my life with. First face when I wake, last before I sleep, and all the joy I find in between. Through the long nights and the weather storms, our love for each other will forever endure. See, this is my truth, the truth I'll live the rest of my days, living to appreciate all that love has made.
It's called Learning Curve. Learning to drink is easy when you're 19. Okay, I said 19. 17. Strangers will give you easy, beginner-friendly drinks like amaretto sours and Jack and Coke. And if you're too goody two-shoes to drink at 19, it is much harder to learn to drink at 39 because a Mai Tai tastes like juice, but it is not juice. And when you are 39, no one is going to tell you that it is not juice until you have had 3 of them and you need to be poured into your bed. And you have to call off work on Monday and you have a real job because you're 39. Yeah. So you can't tell your boss that you have just learned what a Mai Tai is. Instead, you have to learn to lie. You have the flu. You have the flu. And learning to lie is hard at first. It feels wrong. Your words stumble, your tongue twists, but if lying is what keeps you safe, you do it better and faster and harder until you can't remember a time before it was easy. Learning to remember, that's hard when all you've ever done is try to forget. And learning to forget, that's easy. but learning to forgive is hard. Before you learn to drink alcohol, you learn junk food. I was not allowed to have refined sugar as a child, so I had to learn that stuff the hard way. What is a candy bar? What is in a candy bar? What is in a good candy bar and what is in a payday? That is a cat turd covered in kitty litter wrapped in plastic and it cost my whole allowance. Why did I buy that? Does everyone else just have x-ray vision? How did everyone else know that Necco wafers taste like rolling papers? Don't waste your money. Money. The hardest thing to learn about money is that money and feelings are not the same, but they are very close, and you cannot give up your comfort spending until you give up whatever is making you uncomfortable. You got a job you hate that pays well? There are not enough mani-pedis in the world. A job you hate will make you go broke.
So true, so true.
Speaking of breaking things, driving. I learned to drive when I was 18, and then I had to learn again when I was 36, and you know what? Driving, it's just like riding a bike. You're gonna crash a few times. Everyone said, oh, no, you're not a bad driver. And everyone is lying, because I got in 5 collisions in 3 years, totaled 2 cars, got dumped by 3 consecutive insurance agencies, and I missed the Chicago bus system in a way I never expected. Bus systems actually are surprisingly hard to learn. You think you know the way to where you're going, and then suddenly you are halfway across town on an express route, and the driver stops and says, you have to get out now, ma'am. You can't override the end of the route. Just walk a couple blocks that way in the rain and the snow and the dark, and I'll pick you up around the corner. Trust me. It's hard to learn a bus route like it's hard to learn trust. Like it's hard to learn family, like it's hard to learn friendship. Friendship, it's easy if you learn it young. If you don't, well, don't give up hope. Love, it's easy if you learn it young. If you don't, I won't give up hope. Sex, it's easy. Well, actually, no, that is not easy. It is never easy. And if you thought it was easy, you are incorrect. Please do an actual double-blind controlled variable anonymous survey of your previous partners and find out how and why you are screwing this up. Because I do not care if you are simultaneously an Olympic gymnast who is a supermodel, who is a psychologist. This is one thing that is easy to learn and hard to master, and if you think you are good at it, you are bad at it. Like poetry. Poetry is easy to learn but hard to master. I wrote my first poem when I was 3 years old, and it was terrible. I wrote my last poem half an hour ago sitting at that bar, and it was terrible. And no matter how good I get at poetry, I still wonder if I'm just getting better at dealing with feeling terrible about my poetry, which, by the way, is the last thing and also the best thing to learn is feeling terrible. I finally got okay at just feeling terrible and doing it anyway, at saying thank you instead of forgive me, at showing up late instead of flaking because I'm not on time, and having my slip show and letting them sit crooked. And you know what? Once you get really good at feeling terrible and scared and nervous and alone, you get better at poetry. And you get better at friendship and better at love and better at driving and better at,
Yes.
well, everything. Better at saying thank you instead of, or in addition to, forgive me. So thank you, and forgive me, and thank you.
Anna Somerset. A poem is floating to the surface. A poem is floating to the surface. We poor air suckers fling our flabby bodies into the wild waters, sacrificial offerings in the offing, reliant on the tide not turning on us, the wellness chasers, fighting for nails. Head underwater. Weedy muscles finely freed, fueled by the energy of the rustling reeds. Then, physical contact. Communing communicates something fluently or effluently. A poem is floating to the surface. A poem is floating to the surface, part 2. A poem is floating to the surface. Not doggerel, but more than somewhat scatological. Shit speaks volumes, whilst dividends are swirled away silently offshore. Voters, floaters, and their familiars' offerings, swirling feasts for bacteria and pathogens, microsporia, salmonella, coronaviruses. Sickness gifted to you by floating voters, buoyant byproducts. Big jobs, apparently, from the party of business. Shit-fueled spinning for the greedy and the gullible. And so, communing with nature goes down the toilet.
I used to hate repentance. There was a time not too long ago that its existence left me resistant, left me stranded in rebellion, frustrated, a bit like a hellion exercised out of a temple. And the reasoning behind this confession is simple. I would have rather not needed it. If left up to me, turning back would never have been necessary because I wouldn't have turned my back. Refocusing my gaze would not be necessary because I would not have turned away. But hey, not much has ever been up to me. And how wise that truth is in its simplicity. That there are some things that are out of my control. That without reins, those who reign could buck, could become equestrian monsters, could become brats of beasts, could create wildfires out of the heat that was graciously given to them, gifted to them. And how reckless that could be. How irresponsible that would be, not just of the gifted, but of the giver. To provide fire and not teach how to use it. To provide power and not teach how to use it. To have reins and never use them. See, not only is that poor leadership, that's bad parenting. See, as a child, Christmas was a time for celebration, for family gatherings and joyful happenings. But joy, with the basement as a finish line, loaded into and sprung out of the starting blocks when we ripped open the wrapping paper to find socks. See, we felt that we were fooled, hoodwinked, bamboozled, and praying to God that the stockings had much more to offer than a misleading packaging underneath the tree. We were convinced just because it's colorfully wrapped does not make it a gift. See, just because something looks like a present and is presented without a request does not indeed make it a gift. See, to us, in our youth, socks could not possibly be a gift. But when I was a child, I spoke as a child.
Come on now.
I understood as a child. I thought as a child. See, one definition of a child is as we, as the world see it, a young human below the age of puberty. But another definition of a child is an immature or irresponsible person. Another definition of a child is one who has little to no experience in a particular area. See, we see a child as one in need of milk, not yet ready for solid food. I'm sure many of us have seen an infant bite off more than they can chew. But see, solid food is for the mature. Those who, through constant use, have trained themselves to distinguish good from evil, and tummy aches as a child can be downright sinister. Ignorance Be the very thing that causes lessons to be hard taught, whether it be by lack of knowledge or refusal to accept it. And ain't it just elementary to have a little bit of knowledge and claim to know everything? Ain't it just coat in the hallways, cubbies for lockers, and oversized book bag ridiculous to think that you, in and of only yourself, are able to determine needs far out into a future that you have not seen yet? Ain't it just childish to despise and wish to dispose of a gift that you don't understand the significance of yet? You may not want socks on Christmas, but an extra pair in February might do you some good. You may not need socks on Christmas, but a dry pair on an April Tuesday might do you some good. And Avery, you may not see the need for repentance right now, but a field trip into sin that you have signed your own permission slip for might make you want and appreciate that gift a bit more. See, now I know that my former hate needs readdressing, and that God deserves an apology. Look at me, y'all. I guess I'm growing up and putting away childish things after all.
Yet you are mine, Tabassum, Tahmina, Shagufta, Hussein. If one day all the eyes from the Himalayas to the Alps melt, even then you are mine. If one day Niagara Falls goes away to the Sahara, yet you are mine. If one day there is not a drop of water left from the Atlantic to the Pacific Ocean, still then you are mine. If one day the Ganges, the Danube, the Rhine, the Nile parch themselves, here too, you are mine. If one day the Vesuvius and the Etna get the singed while burning continuously, then still you are mine. If one day the Third World War initiates to destroy the world, still you are mine. If one day all the light forsakes the sun and the moon, then you are mine. If the snow in the Siberia ever notches green crops, yet you are mine, and still you are mine. Thank you.
Strange fruit, looking like the same fruit, ain't nothing changed fruit. Bodies rearranged fruit, see, melanin is something that M4 sniper rifles love to consume. Swiffer, the evidence under the rug with the broom. Semi-automatic Glocks love chocolate. Chocolate to dinner, the chocolate man was late cause in the chalk he lays, riddled with 60 bullets, toasted like Frito-Lay's, smoke from his loins, blood from his brow. This little piggy was, I don't know, speeding and swerving down by Bridgestone. Then the next thing I know, he becomes like the ice cream parlor. Cold stone or stone cold, touch his feet, soul gone. What? Oh, how black boys are a beam's favorite meal, running like Harriet, no onion though to hide our scent, but they do us like car fresheners, y'all, scratch and sniff. Same fruit, looking like the strange fruit, ain't nothing changed fruit. Bodies rearranged, fruit, burial makeup flawless, like they just rolled his corpse in the altar. Meanwhile, they're digging up Black Wall Street remains out in Tulsa. My existence has nothing to do with your inferiority complex. Hitler must be alive the way that they hit her. Breonna Taylor, Mike Brown should be in college. Trayvon Martin tasted the rainbow, then went to meet the rainbow maker. How disgustingly beautiful. I don't want false remorse. I want action that changed course, because strange fruit, it looked like the same fruit. Ain't nothing changed fruit. Bodies rearranged fruit, y'all, it's the same song. 400 years later, it's the same song we singing. But I guess we should shut up, right? Because at least we ain't hanging. Strange fruit.
Have you ever thought, what would happen if you lost your blackness? No more getting blackballed and jealous of how blacks balled and took over your game? How they're trying to take over our jobs by using affirmative action, but they can never damage our faction because we stand strong. We're headstrong on our ideals, and even though it's not ideal, but no, fuck that. We don't think that way because it's just us, so we need to keep it that way. The justice system is doing all the right things, but the second they turn left, then they next. I mean, they are going to be next. I am the angry white male that's willing to blackmail any black male and send them back to their country. Like, why did they come anyway? But no, I take that back because I need my dishes washed and they're gonna do whatever I want until I hear their ticking stops. I bet you'll feel real disappointed if you were killed by a rental cop. Your pride is so funny. You wouldn't let it go even if I offered you money. Like, don't you want this, what do you call it, blue faces? All the rap and the slang is the reason why you're losing court cases. You're telling on yourselves. Making the blue lives that really do matter a lot easier. And our white women need to stop saving these black boys. It's not worth it. We need to stick to our roots and our color. Like, look on the surface. But I swear I'm not racist because I have a few black friends. And I feel like I used to be black in a different lifetime, but I think things are much better looking at the timeline of history. It was just so crazy how slaves were messed up mentally, but they should have listened to their masters. I have no sympathy, but I swear I'm not racist. I believe we can coincide on the same planet, yes. You just need to go back home and live inside your dirt home. I'm sorry. This topic just gets me all riled up. Blacks just need to do better, you know? And, I mean, I guess I'll do better too. At least for my kids, because they listen to your music. Seeing the, what do you call it, bad bitches in your videos, trying to emulate all the money, the cars, and the clothes. Like, where are the hoes? I'm sorry, I just felt weird saying that, but speaking on black traditions and not to step on any toes in here, but I tried Hennessy and ew, it was just so disgusting. Like, I just don't understand how you guys can drink that. But I did try the weed, and now that's something I can back. You know, it's almost worth. It's almost worth letting the drug dealers out. It's almost, because I can't let those killers get back out on the street because they're cutthroat, and I can't have any throats being sliced, especially on my watch. I just can't have any people box this country. That's why I voted Kanye for president in 2020. You know, I love blacks like him, and he loves us whites. You know, he's a genius, tying all of his beliefs to 45. He's like a seamstress, and I'm also an advocate of abolishing Black History Month, but hear me out. We gave you guys a month and we still don't get any love. Like, come on. We gave you a month and then you want a couple months and then a year? I mean, where is the white history? Okay. I'm sorry. Wrong crowd. I'll just quit while I'm ahead. But there is nothing wrong with being black. It's all in your head. Force-fed, black shaming is ingrained in your brain. What it's saying, black people are blaming themselves once again. The knowledge of what we need to figure out we're still enslaved, but the ones that are figuring out have words engraved in cemeteries. And then a killer random black people to balance out the obituaries, pick up some dictionaries. Unfortunately, we have to learn their language and they're learning ours too. And they want to be black so bad until the cops ride through, saying we ain't only killing your leaders, but we're killing your followers too. To put them in the grave, engraved 98 2019, visualizing us as dope dealers and dope fiends, making it easier for them to kill us than come clean. Come on now. He played with guns. He did drugs. He was in a gang. I felt like we did the right thing because he was obviously black. I mean, insane. So you would rather lose your blackness so no longer feel like a casualty to this colorism, but I hope it sticks in the back of your mind regardless of your tunnel vision.
Birthdays are celebrated by many each day, but the only one that matters to me is yours. And today I plan to lay all my passion at your feet, showing you exactly what it means to be king. As we sit on the shores of this beautiful remote beach, I look into your eyes and say, baby, just relax and let go. Then I begin to remove each and every stitch of your clothes. Your body tenses, and I stop only long enough to say, baby, don't be so perplexed. Just lean back and let me handle all the rest. You begin to relax as I massage your shoulders with sweet scented oils and warm embraces. My sumptuous tongue traces hearts all along your glistening torso. I then lovingly spring into action, your body taken off guard by pleasure so intense your eyes began to roll back. As I, your goddess, inch closer and closer to achieving my ultimate goal, a little ditty pops into your head. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me.
Dude said, arm cocked over the back of his chair, leaning into the tittering ear of his friend, was, great. Another woman poem. That's all he said. My hand to God. But my cunt growled ferocious over her straw-broken back, burst through her sensibly clean cotton cocoon, swollen flick, flopping out of the folds like the tongue of a timberwolf rabbit. My vagina did the Grinch's heart 1,000 times inflated first to the size of a watermelon, knocking the microphone clean off the stage, then elongated like a cock. To be a cock, though in the newspaper the next day, she looked more like a giant butternut squash. An innocent, swollen gourd that promptly crushed the host and half of the screaming audience to death as they queued up at the back door, trying to escape. When her mouth finally opened, she was the size of a hot air balloon. The rest of my body flailing around behind her like a rag doll glued to a Goodyear blimp by the crotch. And like a douche-seeking missile, she locked in on the slithering throat of the man who woke her from her slumber, spread her lips like the wings of a giant pink bat, and swallowed that motherfucker whole. Yeah! Didn't even bother to chew, but she had teeth. Sharp, drooling things, all of them studded in gold with the words "no" is a complete sentence. When she was roughly the size of a downtown building, she had swallowed the venue, 3 city blocks, a Dr. Pepper 10 billboard sign, and 4 transit buses chock full of men telling her how pretty she'd be if she would just smile. So she smiled, and they stopped smiling. There were SWAT teams and zookeepers and National Guardsmen letting loose a torrent of bullets and tranquilizer darts. Snipers set up on rooftops as she emptied entire strip clubs into her mouth like sweet and tangy boxes of Halloween candy. Hulked out and twat smashing helicopters like tiny toy planes. Twat angry the time to understand. And when she finally felt like her point had been made, she shrank quietly back down beneath my skirt and purred like the soft and gentle and valid thing she always has been. So if you were thinking, and I mean, even thinking about rolling your eyes at just another woman poem, I'd really take a second and reconsider, Broseph, because sometimes my vagina gets angry. And believe me, you will not like her that way.
I'm trying to write a happy poem, so I sit watching the beauty of the fireflies rapidly flashing through the trees. I'm trying to write a happy poem, but then I remember the rapid flashing of 90 bullets into the blurred image of another unarmed black man taken at the hands of the law. But I'm trying to write a happy poem, so I snuggle up close with my dog and listen to the sound of his heartbeat. And then I think of how Jalen Walker doesn't have one anymore, but I'm trying to write a happy poem. So I listen to the coyote howl and the peacefulness of the night sky. I'm trying to write a happy poem, but I hear our city officials call for peace while police use a protester as a punching bag. I'm trying to write a happy poem, naively hoping that somehow enough good folks with a poem, or a song, or a mural, or a camera might defeat some bad guys with guns and badges. I'm trying to write a happy poem, but the canvas continues to be splattered in red. I'm trying to write a happy poem where justice wins in the end, where police are held accountable, where the system is changed, where I pull up my red hood and don my perfectly sized glass slippers and follow the breadcrumbs all the way to grandmother's house, where the porridge is not too cold and it's not too hot, because I'm trying to write a happy poem, but the wolf gobbles me up as the clock strikes midnight and my poem turns back into a pumpkin.
Preacher prophecies during the purple passions of peace, pestilence, poverty, and pessimism is what they preach. People, we gotta press on and push through our problems while practicing particular protocol to solve them. Patience and pressure makes the diamond perfected, while pleasure and pain parts the heart. We must protect it. Passionate people preaching peace with their palms. My persona is positive. I'm premonition of Psalms. Still, I'm standing up here on stage trying to deliver phenomenal parables to my people. Precaution, check the proceeds before you check the peephole. Preciously painted vivid pictures of the palace while power pack punks get eaten at Lake Placid. I still puff past it, don't pretend to be passive. I'm trying to feed my family, got stretched like plastic. Prisons and pistols and punishment, it's all a plot. Political position is perplexed by the pot as I puff and pray. Hey.
Aye, 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 discover the same other, one creeping, seeping, peeping.
Aye, aye, discover the same other, whilst under the cover, creeping, seeping, peeping, covert operations, my teenage fascinations, awkward altercations with non-queer populations, sensations that taught me, if ever they caught me, sighed cautiously, deliberately blur, words that infer derogatory slur. I got very clever, very clever at seeing without being seen. I spent longer looking at George Michael than learning his song lyrics. I smuggled copies of Gay Times into my bedroom just to see guys like me. Gay kissing scenes on TV, my dad trying to hide his discomfort and sometimes not. Same other. Under the cover. Discover the same creeping whilst under the cover. Listening and watching the football with my dad, Chelsea in 1996. Dad watched the match. I watched the players. Dad remembers the midfielder's tackle. I remember the midfielder's tackle. Dad remembers the midfielder being shown the red card. I remember the midfielder's red underwear showing. Dad remembers listening to hear who will next play against his team, Chelsea. I remember listening to imagine the midfielder. With the kick out, Noel Whelan. Now that's the initial challenge on Andy Townsend by Whelan that started all. That's what got Townsend so angry that he had to be turned back. Just to integrate that. Townsend didn't quite want it there, but he's managed to find Staunton. That's a good effort. Oh, Steve Staunton. Dad remembers telling me that as I liked football, I might like rugby. I remember agreeing. Brighton, 2001, my first gay pub. Queen's Arms, George Street, my heart aflutter, legs like mush. The street was George, my teenage crush. Here's where I learned. Bigger the fish, bigger the tackle. Bigger the fish, bigger the tackle. Let's go back 30 years, 1993. Every cut, every rip in my scrapbook. My school teacher told me to keep a scrapbook, images catching my attention. What happens now if I go back 30 years and look, when me being me, I dare not mention. every tear, every tear in my scrapbook. To my teacher's surprise was my scrapbook. I kept scrapping for 5 or so years. Homophobic eyes fueling my shame, heteronormative culture provoking my fears. Too often too lonely with my scrapbook and tears. Each image with its own special meaning. Images of men for teenage girls everywhere to look. Me being gay in a straight world dreaming. The irony being in the men I was seeing. The more I reveal, the more I conceal. Cutting out bits from that week's smash hits for my scrapbook, my bedroom wall, my private public space, then from the wall into my scrapbook, hundreds of images, but all I wanted to look at was his face. But the handsome man's face was carefully placed in between images from National Geographic magazine. I became a master of collage, those I desired, in amongst images of others and places I had been. I'm always liminal, clever at seeing without being seen. There came a day when I threw away my too heavy to carry, too bulky to manage scrapbook. If I could go back to myself, then what would I say? Lee, you will be fine. In time, you will be okay. Before I destroyed my 5-year scrapbook, I photocopied all 371 pages. Low res, JPEG, mobile phone. My scrapbook now printed out as photocopies for me to touch. To remember. And to rip, because some memories, some pictures, I would rather skip. Too painful to see because they remind me of my former self. And now I am in much better mental health. See me, see Lee. I know what it means to have a body, to be a body, to inhabit this world here and now in a body where I was once criminal for seeing things. For seeing and being seen in ways I do, seeing things in things not meant for queer people. I am a body, a complex historied well of senses, emotions, proximities and encounters, a body that has learned resilient being, developing tactics of seeing.
This next poem is called La Operación, and La Operación is actually a procedure that happened in Puerto Rico between the 1950s and the 1960s. And it starts with a fact. La Operación, aka when he asks if I'm on birth control. Between the 1930s and the 1970s, 1/3 of the female population of Puerto Rico was sterilized, making this the highest rate of sterilization in the world. That was the fact. Fertility, a gift or a curse, dependent on skin color or where one watches the stars from. The women of Puerto Rico are considered more animal than human. mothering machines tucked into mountains. Enter America, a Dr. Frankenstein with less fervor and more genocidal tendencies, tying tubes into knots, or not ever again, a life sentence, but here lies no more life. So what is there to give? See, the curse be that the women of Puerto Rico hold so much passion in the plexus, Christ himself becomes the chorus of shudders each time our knees part. Such a deep devotion to miracles, we cannot stop imitating them. Like hands, passing across the skin of the conga, honoring the ritual of creation so fully. Those imperialist parasites pass laws, govern bodies, to try and quiet the showy nature of God herself. And I once read an article about a biologist at Berkeley who said Puerto Rican women were the closest example to the perfect human that exists due to the mix of blood, sugar, salt. And maybe that's why America wanted to stop the breeding of a people it didn't regard as perfect or even as people, but more so a byproduct that overproduces. And I know this is not the answer to the question, but thank you.
Don't look. Do not look in any mirror or glass and worry you appear ugly and old. Nearly everyone does as the years pass, if they've avoided being dead and cold. It's best not to look at yourself at all, and merely rejoice that you can still see. And if you can hear, speak, smell, and walk tall, you have no reason to be unhappy. It is others who have drawn the short straw, your family, friends, acquaintances, who, if they are kind and still love and adore, will have to continue looking at you. So if old and ugly, don't you forget, it's for those around you should feel upset.
Corners on bottoms of feet show that life is like walking on coals hard, trying to get to the other side, wishing double dutch was as easy as it looks. Joints in the air lit, blazing smoke, raising clear ground. The smoke ain't gray, it's brown. Like a newborn chimpanzee swinging playfully from branch to branch. Oh, how relaxing that must be. To calm thoughts, leaving emotions blowing in the air, hanging from the last vine, loving music to the fullest eye. Talk this broken slang, no one knows the secret to my success. Yes, I sport elegant dresses and stilettos, leaving dame, blame brothers and dumbfounded pros. Stuck on stupid, tripping on toes, nobody knows. His name was Baldwin, telling blacks to stand up and grow a backbone. He knew the world was callous and love was tasteless. He sparked the only dead plug in my body. His words are like a RZA's beats competing with commercial beat. 110% better than a norm, never stepping aside for someone to cut. He lives, hip hop lives. He lives in writers and intellects today because the native sound was bullshit. Let's pull shit apart. Dissect what someone never glimpsed at on Sundays. My handwriting changes and becomes near as if a magical spell is embedded in the wrist I rock cutoffs. And I'll pass ends for the intellectuals. Either you love Biggie or Tupac. Both cannot ever be loved equally. Personally, I appreciate emotions and adore fashion. I suppose you think less of me. I guess you must test me in my morals. My blessings come in spurts like come. It doesn't happen at one time all the time. I spend nights daydreaming and days making it happen. Keeping focused on facts to further my future. I used to love them, now I don't. I despise false talk. Slanted, shady walks do too. Shady actions on the body cause it to deteriorate like acid on the witch. I am melted and only Capadonna's lyrics can save me. Sorry, I ain't producing no babies until he comes with the news of love, peace, and nappiness. The moon is full and it's bringing me happiness. I thought I was destined to model. Look cute, get paid, slayed, possibly vitally laid. Rape is not a new subject. I will not touch that subject. Makes me want to vomit. I am not going to give a comment. I will cry tears of pain, puffy eyes from sadness. Not the droll, I've grown accustomed to stimulating the mind during recess no more. Sliding boards and tetherball balls, riding poles and licking balls. Grown up things.
Laika, 1957. Plucked from the streets of Moscow, streets cold and mean. Am I rescued? Will there be a home, a hearth, kibble and kisses, someone to stroke my little head, children to play with? Instead, they stuck on her a name and flung her afar, sealed into a cramped metal chamber, not a window to wonder. Wonder she did a lot. Shot into the orbit, one-way trip. Not even a visit, wondered her puppy eyes. No return, none at all, as she was given a final caress. Big and wide and dark, bigger and wider and darker. A baby girl all alone. A wee dog, weighing 13 pounds. Was she going to do an experiment there? No, none at all. She was an experiment, after all. Painful longest journey to nowhere. Not a sound here or there, except a silence so weird. Her whimper, streaming tears, a paw-sized heart, bursting with fear. Laika didn't want to conquer outer space. She'd rather be a street dog. Not a Sputnik rider, not an astronaut. A warm bed maybe, some kisses for someone to whisper, "What a good girl you are." Plucked from the cold and mean Moscow streets, a female stray, docile and obedient, who doesn't need to raise a leg to pee. Perfect. A little barker, they called her, and made her into a space dog. Laika, 3rd November, 1957.
And this was kind of inspired because I saw a picture in a post, and it was this girl. She was in these leaves. It was just leaves all in her face, and she said, "Caption this." So this is my poem. This is my caption for that. From hard pressed to harvest, I'm blessed. From scorching desert to deserted path, realigned for the redirect that led me directly to my destiny. Taught me that I'm both soil and seed, and that everything I've been through was just fertilizer for me. My life and my mouth sprouts out life-giving seeds to all those who are barren and in need. You can always find leaves on my tree, always blossoming and flourishing, you best believe. But to be honest, there's still a lot of growth that I foresee. Right now, you can watch me in the leaves, but one day you'll watch me in the tree. That's from Mo Poetry's Book of Elevation, chapter 1, verse 3.
So y'all peek, I'm on the phone with my friend one time, right? A pastor who knows I don't identify as Christian. She say, "Mo, don't you know you Jesus? You got all these features. Ain't your hair wool and your skin bronze? Don't you travel these stages spreading the word, Mo? Don't that make you some type of disciple?" I told her, "Stink, I ain't no saint. Poems like the book of Galatians. Just be living life from regurgitating." She say, "Bro, I promise you like some type of trap pastor or something, So my brothers and my sisters, I invite you to turn to the book of Genesis. See, in the beginning, God created the hoods and the trap. And the hood was without form and void. Darkness on the face of the concrete, and the Spirit of God hovering over. And one day, the trap said, "Let there be white." And there was white. Drugs flood the streets, turning Gentiles to junkies. Fiends brought all their tithes and offerings to the dope house. Glass pipes being passed around like collection plates. Leveling cities in the salt pillars as if the smoker somehow looked back at Sodom. Reagan's reign of terror, like the rapper King Solomon, think splitting babies in half between crack rock and sobriety. Think infant spoons turning the smoke stems. The media made it as if the addicts bore the mark of the beast. Church, I hope y'all staying with me. Fast forward to the book of Lost Souls. The songs of the smokers, verse 1 said, "Honor thy weed man, and thy strain shall be strong and prosperous." Was outside one day, shoes off, smoking that burning bush, reflecting on the blessings that life bestowed upon me. Spirit spoke out. I took a puff and said to my neighbor, God is good all the time. You see how quick we is to recite that line, like in spite of niggas dying all the time, like in spite of bad headlines all the time, like in spite of being redlined, held back, brainwashed and pushed aside all the time, like getting still. Yes. We cling to that age-old cliche. Black folks are the epitome of being led by faith and not by sight. Streets 3:16 says, "For boys so loved the hood that he gave his only begotten soul, and whosoever believeth in that block will surely perish, but have an everlasting life." As if an airbrush t-shirt equates to an altar, or a mural turns you into an angel in the afterlife, where the streets of your city still sing gospels of your praises if you don't get slandered. We deserve more from this life of grief and anguish. My congregation, I invite you to look to the person to your left and say, "Neighbor." Neighbor. I'm staying alive today. I want you to look to the person to your right and say, "Neighbor." Neighbor. I'm going to survive today. I want you to look straight at me and say, "Neighbor." Neighbor. I'm going to thrive today. Yes, Lord. I speak the strength of 1,000 Samsons into my afro, and I pray that my Delilah can hold on as I discover myself in all the brokenness. I'm fighting lions in my mind while my heart leads me to Zion. Lord knows I've been trying. Hear my cries. I cuss a lot, but God knows my heart. Just a man with a prayer that the good Lord saves my soul for a rainy day. I'm wondering if the sins of street niggas and saints get weighed at the same at the pearly gates. Do we judge a man in a Glock the same way we judge a man in a cloth whose soul gets immunity? I've been finding myself thirsting for communion in my community before my life reaches the benediction. Now, if all hearts and minds are clear, let the church say, Amen. Amen.
After part 1, a poem about addiction, family dynamics, family dysfunction, and institutional failure. After my mom took my brother home from the hospital where he was offered a bed to stop and recuperate from the cycle of drinking. After my mom did this, not once, not twice, but 3 times that were witnessed by my dad and me, and a few other times we only heard about, after my mom lent him money over and over, after she bought him food which he never ate, just boozing, just starving really. And after my mom kept seeing it, the rotting hummus, the moldy bread, the shriveled apples, and bought more food, kidding herself, lost in a passionate dream of hope so hot that it overheated, overcooked her perceptions of what was real and what was not. After she kidded herself all this food was being consumed, he just drank more. And all this was going on. I knew something was wrong, as in seriously wrong. She'd send harsh emails filled with berserk, hostile accusations that my personality had changed, that there were problems in my marriage, and then just deny their existence. Say I'd invented the emails, say they didn't exist. Something was wrong with her brain. I knew this and told her doctor, who just denied it and, for good measure, showed her my email to ensure a family explosion. I told another doctor. He just ran away. I told a third. I think she needs an MRI. The doctor smiled. I disagree. I complained about the first doctor to a panel of doctors. He has done everything correctly, they decreed. We see no need for further action. And after my mom's financial losses mounted, and after my brother, flush with cash at home where my mom said he'd do best, it's how he'll recover, died, my mom fell and hit her head, and there was no scan.
Then he said, "Go out and stand on the mountain before the Lord." And behold, the Lord passed by, and the great and strong wind tore into the mountains and broke the rocks in pieces before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. And after the wind, an earthquake. But the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, a fire. But the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire, a small still voice.
He often found himself running fast, with no true view of the finish line. He was racing time but couldn't tell she had already won. Clocks spun circles around his neck, creating a noose. It became a nuisance constantly asking her to wait up for him. She didn't have the space to hang, so he hung up, drifting in the wind, wandering restlessly, wrestling with labor, chasing money instead. He figured he would get ahead if he could just get a little bread, or a lot. His eyes became too big for his stomach. Greed grappled him by his waist, laid waste to his compassion. He curled under the beckoning calls of currencies. He made his bed, trying to find rest, but he never laid in it. Life was supposed to be a beach, but he never played in it. He was busy building sandcastles, barricading himself inside. His pride wouldn't allow him to open his eyes and take a look around. He never realized the reality of it all. He never took the time to be still and study how the trees grow so tall, how they dig their roots inside the soil. They talk and toil morning, noon, and night, and yet they don't move an inch. Living water comes to fall on them. The sun makes a home on their branches. They've learned the art of stillness. They've mastered the art of silence. They've found quality in the quiet. The trees have triumphed in listening for that small, still voice. It was a tragedy how he never stood long enough to live up to his true essence. In all of his endeavors, his soul called out to him, but he couldn't hear it while basking in all of his treasures. If he only would have tried to find the warm light within himself, he wouldn't have died in the darkness of such a cold world. Let his life be a lesson. Learn to keep your head up, ears open, eyes wide, arms held out, waiting for the word of life to be gifted to you. You could be as fruitful as the trees too. Just be still.
Hey, little brown bear. Little brown teddy bear. I'll be seeing your little ugly ass everywhere. I seen you in the hats, or with heart-shaped bellies and bow ties, even little suits with boots. Got you looking kind of fly. But you know what? I ain't never really liked you. I'm just being honest. It's something about the optics. How I always see you when death of brown boys and girls is a topic.
Come on now.
I'll be seeing you everywhere. I saw you on my way to work, on my way to the mall shopping, and handicapped by the parking. Even taking my kids to the park and going to the supermarket. Brown bear. You know I hate you, brown bear. I hate you, teddy bear. Because it seems like you're always here. Like you always near. Like you wash your paws in black mother's tears. I fucking hate you. You and your other goons. Tandem with candles and heart-shaped balloons. Empty bottles of vodka and cognac at the crossroads, but it would be crazy to wish on a wishbone just to have one of them little boys and girls back. I feel lucky if I had to deal with Annabelle or Chucky instead of you. You've turned my entire city into a cemetery. Candlelight visuals are just the unusual outdoor funerals. I bet you think it's beautiful. Waiting to pop up when another dies while the eulogy doesn't come from a pastor but from a mother's cries. Fuck you, teddy bear. Fuck you. Fuck you. I fucking hate you. My arms is tired from being a pallbearer because you keep taking all the pallbearers. So yeah, my arms is getting strong, but my insides is getting weak. You got me lying when I say I don't go to church. Because you got me at a service every week. I know it's unfair because you're not inherently evil. But Teddy, I gotta hate you instead of hating my own people. Brown bear. You know I hate you, brown bear. Because it's all black boys. We have to teach how to behave when dealing with the police. It's all black boys that have to deal with the grief of people seeing them and crossing the street. It's all black boys that resonate with the rejection from women because he's not a drug dealer, scammer, or tote weapons. It's all black boys that suffer from street culture, but black boy, you be culture. But all across the nation, in any location, is death or prison waiting. But cancel culture won't cancel that. It's all black boys suffering from the racial biases from principals and teachers, no matter their skin complexion. Black boy, your skin is a weapon used against you to continue the school to prison pipeline. It's all black boys, all black boys, all black boys forced to get it in the streets because father left home and mama can't provide enough to eat or shoes on their feet, or she got a new man and he dry caddy, so she divorced from her children because they look just like they daddy. It's all black boys that suffer from emotional drowning because all we know is we supposed to suck it up and be a man and be the man, but unaware how to process sadness and anger make black boys not want to breathe again. It's all black boys that can be found in an empty field, dressed in an outfit that can be found in a store near you. 3 slugs to the chest, his body decaying, but damn, he looks fresh. Balloons and teddy bears on street poles to be an unkept monument for more black boys to ponder if they'll be next. It's all black boys, all black boys, all black boys whose best way to make it in college and out the streets is to become an athlete when coaches is commenting how big his ass is and checking his teeth. That combined with slavery always looks strange to me, but black boy don't care. He trying to buy his mama a house, he promised. Give his little sister a bank account so she don't have to rely on another black boy if that black boy is being honest. It's all black boys, all black boys, all black boys.
The biggest insult you can ever give to a man is to call him a pussy. It's to bring him down to the size of a dime and watch him stretch to a bowling ball size to bring forth life. I wonder what it feels like to be a dick all the time. Mostly flaccid. Not classically attractive, not about this life, not as big as you claim. Y'all all talk. Most of the time, y'all all soft. Your own hood won't even fuck with you, literally. One more time for people who don't understand how circumcision works. Your own hood won't even fuck with you, literally. Only having 2 little friends who will go along with any sticky situation you put them in, even when they're acting salty, they are still only yes men. Run and hide when shit gets too scary. None of you have a backbone, or any bones at all, but always want a bone, no real ambition, always chilling or hanging to the left or the right, depending on which hand you are manhandled with, can't handle with, but always want to be a ruler. Barely able to control themselves, always making a mess, preferably on someone else. Lacking discipline and aim, even though you're supposed to be the ones with the better equipment. Always paying attention to the wrong shit. Most men could never make it as a pussy, would die if they were made to feel that small, not warm enough or flexible, stretchable, able to adapt to uncomfortable situations. People trying to slip you up dicks all in your way. Most of y'all couldn't last a day, let alone 3 to 7. Every 28, 30-year sentences is the thanks we get for being able to give life and not just waste it. Couldn't shed themselves every month in an introspective path of cleanliness. Most of y'all lack the resilience or brilliance and creativity to be able to give life to the world and still milk it. Not me, though, because I ain't got titties. Got an ass, though. Woo, it's a bright future back there. Most men consider being a pussy a bad thing, but, like, are most men really thinking, like, are they really that deep, or should I say this deep? Could they ever fake it for our egos or stretch as far as we go to make us feel better? Or be their own personal weather channel from desert conditions, depending, or to the wettest rainstorms? Don't you know that's why they call her Mother Nature? Don't you know I can sun men like you? Oh, you don't remember that far back. Need a refresher because you find it insulting to be considered one. Well, whenever you fix your lips to call another man a pussy, don't forget where you come from. Thank you. Pussy. Amir is not going to be able to play any of these videos.
Crisis writing number 24. Patrick Warren is shot and killed outside his home on January 14th, 2021, after yet another wellness check gone wrong. Everything I've seen since I saw the video of his last moments alive has existed through a lens of his murder. In other words, I don't understand how things exist as if this had never happened, and I fail to understand it every time. I replay life in my head, disgusted at how it all fails to gel together. My dreams are clips of reality in montage. Get down, says the officer. Rise up, says Amanda Gorman 6 days later. Be the light, says Gorman. Lighten the skin, says America, since America has said much of anything at all. Children are the future, says the world. You're acting like a child, says yet another officer. I am a child, says 9-year-old girl, handcuffed and pepper sprayed. How could catastrophe possibly prevail over us, asked Gorman. By blunt force and power, says I, paying attention. Pay attention. I'm not here to give you hope. I'm telling you what the fuck you should be hopeful for.
To the men who used to like me. You don't like me anymore. And honestly, I prefer you that way. To say your love was inadequate would be to first admit that it was love at all. Somehow you don't believe you were a prison sentence, despite how pretty you are. A cage is a cage, whether it traps a heart or a man, and you will never know freedom because your life is captivity. Beautiful, obsessed with his own reflection man. It would be too easy to compare you to the Greek god of narcissism, but even I am not dramatic enough to exaggerate you into a god. You are not a god, you are barely a man.
You are so committed to immaturity. You know every path in Neverland. You are no Peter Pan, just a lost boy. You do not give main character, just a side dish I desperately tried to make a steak out of, but even my vegan ass is not vegan enough to make main courses out of side dudes. You salad eater broccoli boy, green and messy when you cut him off. It is not that I never cared for you, not that I never loved you. I did. I just don't have it on me right now. I take all of myself back. All the love I have in my life starts with me, and I will make sure it ends with me too. You walked away and took no pieces of me. I am whole. The few dollars I spent were worth it when your smile lit the living room in my chest, but trust me, a few dollars is what you are worth. Now, I'm not calling you a cheap whore, but if the check fits, take that to the bank and cash it. I'm not angry. I have love for you. Again, I just don't have it on me right now the way you never had your wallet anytime we went out. I did care for you. I just don't care now. I love myself more than any headache. You were an expert in as if it were the only skill you mastered. I don't hate you. You're not worth that energy. And you don't deserve hatred. Shade, yes, but hatred, no. I hope for your own sake that you grow. Just not in my garden, with my soil, with my water, and my green leaves anymore. I have so much more for me now that the weeds are gone. I really thought you were a flower, dandelion. And maybe one day you will be. Oh, and P.S. Use less teeth, babe. As difficult as it was for you to keep your mouth shut, I'm sure you can figure this one out.
Yeah. Yo. I said maybe all the things you need from me, you need from someone else too. And that someone is you. Yeah. Okay, it's mind over matter and your company the latter. These days grow colder, gotta dodge a lot of chatter, but that ass is getting fatter. Gotta bake her cause she better, bad. They eyes follow cause she bad, fantasizing in their head, wanna get between her legs. Yeah, all they do is talk, but I'm a man, I really walk. Outline bodies and some chalk, don't make a nigga get the I said maybe all the things you need from me, you need from someone else too. And that someone is you, yeah. And maybe all the dreams you dream were real, just manifesting come true. How does that sound to you? Yo, I said, baby, you were born to shine. Baby, you were born to be better than the rest of them. You don't need a recipe. All these people stressing me, really trying to wear me out. Daydreaming about Paris now. Ride me like a carousel, read me like a tarot card. Most of these fools will break your heart. I'm just trying to break it down. We can make a brand new start. I said, maybe all the things you need from me, you need from someone else too. And that someone is you, yeah. And maybe all the dreams you dream were real, just manifesting come true. How does that sound to you? I think it's gonna be a good day. Celebrations with the family. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I changed the color of my mood ring. Out with the old onto some new things. Whoa, 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 yeah. Yeah, don't let the intricacies define who you are. You know you a star, right? I set my course and I'm shooting pot, you know I go far, right? Don't sell your soul, just be yourself. The things people do for a client, right? Don't debate greatness, learn from the haters. Advice on the course to be light. time. I'm on my islands in my times, feeling so good and I'm so fly.
Be a good day. Celebrations with the family. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I changed the color of my mood ring. I wear the old onto some new things. Whoa, 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 yeah.
Let me talk to him. Last night it was crocodile tears the morning. Next morning yawning, making love and loud moaning. Then open up to one another like dear opponent. That ain't after all, I'm sorry about the fight we caused. Acknowledging the remedy within our overalls. Overall you say fuck it, Kama Sutra calls. Let's recycle energy to stay together. Cause the times are flashing fast for whom all are lost. And that's real hearts to hearts like we really are the closest. In dark times I hope it's my affliction, shine your notice. Shine divine shading off the universal locus. New earth the flower bloom, shout out flying lotus. The news display difference, black man getting sentenced. The butterfly in the sky shows independence. I'm looking at my auntie and I know that she is winning. Cause her mental health is now overextended. It's gonna be a good day.
Celebrations with the family. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I changed the color of my mood ring.